Good evening, Jyoti Sapru here. We are back today with a new topic. Thank you, Pinky Mind, for inviting me for this opportunity to get and reach out to all of you and speak about a topic which is at the back of our minds. It's not only COVID-19, it's not only the mental stresses of COVID-19, but also we need now to train the children, to help the children, small children, get back to normalcy after lockdown. So today we are going to discuss a lot of activities that we as parents, teachers, adults can do with children in order to calm them down, help with their emotional well-being, and also we can bring them back to normalcy. Let me quickly introduce myself in case you have not seen our previous webinars we've been doing on many topics in COVID-19. My name is Jyoti Sapru. I'm a psychological counselor and I do a lot of work for children, for students, for parents, for teachers, and overall I take up mental health issues and give a lot of tips on how to deal with them effectively. I would like to thank Pinky Mind. Thank you so much for having me and giving me this opportunity. And I want to thank all the participants. Thank you so much for taking out time and joining us. This is completely and absolutely for your benefit. I am sure all of us will gain something out of this webinar, and we will be able to share our thoughts and help each other to proceed in a positive way. So I am a counselor here. I work for counseling, and I also do a lot of work with schools and with corporates and with online organizations. And I hope with all my experience, whatever I'm going to share with you is going to be of benefit to all of you. Thank you again for joining us. And I'm going to start the presentation. I hope if anybody has any doubt or any question, they can please write in the chat box and we will take that up after the webinar. And in case there is any problem, you can write that also in the webinar. I hope the audio, the video, and the screen sharing of the presentation will all be visible to you. And we are going to enjoy this webinar, and the topic is also clear to you. So let us not waste any more time and start. Yeah, I'm going to put on the presentation now. Please see if it is visible to everybody. I hope you all can see. So today we are basically going to, talk about the emotional well-being and calming down strategies for children. So to begin with, we have to come down to the level of the children and explain to them, because they don't understand the concept of sickness. They don't understand the concept of death. They don't understand why suddenly they have been asked not to go out. So it is very important that we come down to their level and try to explain them in the best possible way what is coronavirus. So as you know that the kids also, they are feeling this impact. Yeah. So kids are feeling the impact. Children aren't becoming sick from the coronavirus in the same number as adults. So the fear of contracting the virus isn't the biggest driver of anxiety for them. What's affecting them most is the new normal that they are living through. Children certainly are being impacted by this because it has changed their worlds. That's especially true if they have had sick family members or loved ones who have died, and loss of routine and the inability to socialize with friends can add to the feelings of anxiety and upheaval they are experiencing. So they may not be able to tell us, they may not be able to communicate with us, but definitely they are feeling a lot of impact, and it can come out in different kind of behavioral problems, in different kind of behavioral issues. So what are the recommendations to support and protect the children's emotional well-being during the pandemic? Understand that the reactions to the pandemic may vary. It is not that all 3-year-olds will, react in this particular manner. All 13-year-olds will react in a particular manner. The reactions, the responses may vary, because the children's responses to the stressful events are unique and varied. Some children may be irritable or clingy, and some may regress. They may demand extra attention or have difficulty with self-care, sleeping, and eating. New and challenging behaviors are natural responses, and the adults can help by showing empathy and patience. Please understand these two words, empathy and patience, and by calmly setting limits when needed. Ensure the presence of a sensitive and a responsive caregiver. In case the parents are busy, they are not available, or due to some problem they are absent, there has to be a caregiver who is equally sensitive and also responsive to the child. The primary factor in recovery from a traumatic event is the presence of a supportive, caring adult in a child's life. Even when a parent is not available, children can benefit greatly from care provided by other adults. Example, foster parents, relatives, friends, who can offer them consistent, sensitive care that helps protect them from a pandemic's harmful effects. So again, like I said, we have to make it a point that we come down to the level of the child and explain to them, what is the problem and what is the sickness and what is happening in the world in a very simple way, so that they are not fearful, so that they are not traumatized, but at the same time, they do not fall sick and they are careful with their future activities. So for this, we have to make sure and clear certain points. Social distancing should not mean social isolation. Children, especially young children, need quality time with their caregivers and other important people in their lives. Social connectedness improves the children's chances of showing resilience to adversities. Creative approaches to staying connected are important. Example, writing letters, online video chats. Provide age-appropriate information. This is something I've been stressing right from the beginning. Please provide information which is appropriate to that age of the child, because children tend to rely on their imagination. When they lack adequate information, adults' decisions to withhold information are usually more stressful for children than telling the truth in age appropriate ways. Adults should instead make themselves available for children to ask questions and talk about their concerns. They might, for example, provide opportunities for kids to access books, websites, and other activities on COVID-19 that present information in a very child-friendly way. In addition, adults should limit the children's exposure to media coverage, social media, and adult conversations about the pandemic, as these channels may be less age appropriate. Ongoing access to news and social media about the pandemic and constant conversation about the threats to public safety can cause unnecessary stress for children. Please note, we do not need to, build in stress which is unnecessary, which is absolutely avoidable. So these are basic things that we have to tell them, that, it's just good to keep washing your hands, keep singing a song, any song, an alphabet song, a happy birthday song, a favorite song, keep using hand sanitizers. And, then if I am not staying too much close to people, I will stay safe, I will get better, and we can all say bye-bye to COVID-19. Again, it is very important to create a safe physical, emotional environment by practicing the 3 R's. Now, what are the 3 R's? Reassurance, routines, and regulation. First, the adults should reassure children about their safety and safety of the loved ones, and tell them that it is the adult's job to ensure their safety. Second, adults should maintain routines to provide children with a sense of safety and predictability. So it's, like, for example, regular bedtimes, regular meals, daily schedules for playing, daily schedules for learning. So all these things will help to give a very safe emotional environment to the child. And third, the adults should support the children's development of regulation. When children are stressed, their bodies respond by activating their, their stress response system. So whenever there is an action, there is a reaction. Whenever there is a stress, there is a response to the stress. So the bodies respond by activating the stress response system. To help them manage these reactions, it is important to both validate their feeling, like saying things, example, I know that this might feel scary or overwhelming. So you have to validate their feelings, don't negate it or don't deny it completely, and encourage them to engage in activities that help them self-regulate, example, exercise, deep breathing, mindfulness, or meditation activities, regular routines for sleeping and eating. All this gives a lot of emotional security to the child. In addition, it is essential to both the children's emotional and physical well-being to ensure that the families can meet their basic needs: food, shelter, clothing. Nothing else matters to them, just to know that their loved ones are all together. There's food on the table, there's a roof on their head, and they have clothes to wear. So all these basic needs, a simple life, is all that they need for a safe physical and emotional environment. Another thing that we have to do is to keep the children busy. When the children are bored, their levels of worry and disruptive behavior may increase. Adults can provide options for safe activities like, for example, outside play, blocks, modeling, clay art, music, games, and involve children in brainstorming and other creative ideas. Children need ample time to engage in play and other joyful or learning experiences without worrying or talking about the pandemic. Please, I would like to stress on this again. Children need ample time to engage in play and other joyful or learning experiences without the worry of talking about the pandemic all the time. So they have to be, told that when this happens, what are the symptoms, what is the problem they may face. If they are facing any such symptom, they must communicate. But at the same time, it is not to scare them, but it has to be told to them like a story or like a poem, so that they are able to relate it in a funny way. Again, to increase the children's self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is the sense of having agency or control, and especially important trait during times of fear and uncertainty. Children often feel more in control when they can play an active role in helping themselves, their families, their communities. For example, children can help by following safety guidelines. Example, washing their hands, preparing for home confinement. Other examples can be to help to cook and freeze food, or volunteering in the community. For example, writing letters or creating art for older adults or sick friends, or sharing extra supplies with a needy neighbor. So these are the different kind of activities which will help them feel a sense of control, a sense of, belonging. So they don't feel outcasted, they don't feel left out, and they all feel that we are a team. We are all together in this and we are going to face it. Create opportunities for caregivers, which may mean yourself too, to take care of themselves, because children's well-being depends on the well-being of their parents and other caregivers. Caregivers must take care of themselves so they have the internal resources to care for others. To this end, adult caregivers can engage in self-care by staying connected to social supports, getting enough rest, and taking time for restorative activities. For example, exercise, meditation, reading, outdoor activities, prayer, seeking help from a mental health provider is also important. When adults, they struggle with very high levels of stress and other mental health challenges. That is where the role of a mental health professional comes in. You all are putting in your best as adults, but you have your own stresses. You need somebody to talk to. You're not alone. We are all there for you. Please reach out, come for counseling. It is nothing wrong. There is no stigma. Reach out, and mental health matters. So take action. So, it is very much important to seek professional help if children also show signs of trauma that do not resolve relatively quickly. Emotional and behavioral changes in children are to be expected during a pandemic as everyone adjusts to a new sense of normal. Like we say again and again that this is the new normal, this is the new normal. So you know that there is going to be a behavioral
Meaning of pandemic
in children are to be expected, because we are all adjusting to a sense of new normal. If children show an ongoing pattern of emotional or behavioral concern, like for example, they have nightmares, they have excessive focus on anxieties, they have increased aggression, they have regressive behaviors or self-harm that do not resolve with supports, professional help may be needed. Many health providers have the capacity to provide services via telehealth. There is therapy being provided by telephone or an online platform when in-person social contact must be restricted. So empathize with strengths, hope, and positivity. Children need to feel safe. They need to feel secure. They need to feel positive about their present and future. Adults can help by focusing the children's attention on stories and how people come together. Find creative solutions to difficult problems and overcome adversity during the epidemic. Talking about these stories can be healing and reassuring to children and adults also. So we should not shy away. We should not live in denial. We should come forward. We should speak and try to resolve our issues related to mental health. So now, how can the parents help? The good news is that as parents and as caregivers, it is our direct power to lessen the impact of this upheaval on our kids. Just because kids are resilient doesn't mean we don't need to do anything to help them. The majority of children are resilient because we, their trusted parents or caregivers, do something. So they kind of take it for granted. But we have to make sure that we do everything in our power, directly or indirectly, to help the children. Focus on the positive, because the research shows that focusing on the positive and gratitude can improve mental health. It can help with sleep and increase optimism. And even in times of stress and fear, like what we are experiencing with COVID-19 pandemic, there are still opportunities to elevate the positive experiences. So positive, positive, positive has to go up, and negative will definitely be balanced out. So these are some of the basic strategies to calm down the kids. Focus on the safety and well-being of the child and their family. Tell the child that adults, doctors, teachers, parents are doing everything possible to make sure that everyone is well, and take care of those who need help. We should not, at least now in these times, be selfish, and we should help everybody. We should share with everybody, because it's not just keeping ourselves okay, which is important. We have to see that everybody else around us is also okay, and that will really help calm you down also. So assure the child that most people who recover and the most children who contract the virus will get well quickly and easily. It is not that the virus always means death. The virus always means fatalistic. People do have problems, people do fall sick, but then they get well soon. So this message is very important to calm down the kids. Validate your child's feeling. Supporting kids through the pandemic can take many shapes and look different for every family. But the most important thing we can all do is to be proactive in asking them how they are feeling. Listen when they express their feeling and validate those thoughts. Teens also are better at hiding their feeling, so parents may have to work a bit harder for teenagers and break the shell, and don't give up and assume that they are okay just because they may be putting up a brave face. After all, they still need reassurance from their trusted adults. So there are different ways for children also. We can make poems, we can say stories, we can sing songs, and try to get over this negativity in the most positive way possible. And how do we start working to move towards normalcy after the lockdown? Make a plan. After you have talked to your kids about how they are feeling, it is important to talk about all the ways you are staying safe and how you can help those around you. When worry can fester on its own without any action, steps for how to relieve the worry or anxiety, it can overwhelm us and our children. So talk to your kids about what can be done, like staying home to keep your family and other people you care about safe, as well as washing their hands for 20 seconds. Encourage social interaction with kids out of school for a long stretch of time and not being able to spend time with friends. It's critical for parents to recognize how important those social interactions still are to them. With tweens and teens who are able to text and video chat without help or encouragement, parents can take a step back aside and make sure that they stay safe online. So the screen time has to be also monitored. But elementary and preschool children who miss their friends may not have the same ability to adjust to pick up their phone and text their BFF, that is their best friend forever. Parents can help by facilitating some sort of virtual interaction by helping them FaceTime with their school friends. And again, once they are having to go back to school, we have to mentally first prepare them, because this is something which has affected them not only mentally, but also socially, physically. So all these changes have to be again introduced. All that was learned has to be unlearned and relearned. And in a new way, we accept the new normal and we tell the children that this is how the school life is going to be after they go back to school, after the lockdown is lifted. So there will be no entry to visitors. The staff, the students with higher risk of infection will be restricted. They may not be allowed to come back to the institutions. Safe entry and travel declarations will be required for staff, for children and visitors. Like there are many apps and nowadays there are many forms that you may have to fill up to prove that you are medically fit to go back to school. Strict temperature and health checkup for all multiple times of the day. Staggered drop-offs and pickups. Again, in school, all staff, students aged 2 and above have to wear the mask. This is the bottom line. There is no option putting the mask up or putting it down or breathing from the side. No, we have to train them that they have to wear the mask all the time. Hand washing and personal hygiene needs to be stepped up. Cleaning and disinfection of premises, equipment has to be stepped up. Activities within each class will have smaller groups. You cannot have the entire class doing activities like before. It will be divided into very, very small groups who will have no mixing allowed. So no sharing of materials. We cannot share each other's tiffin. We cannot share each other's pencils, sharpeners, eraser, copies, books. There will be no sharing of any material. The key equipment like seats and cots have to be designated to the student. Every child will have his own chair, his own table, his own locker, and no other child is going to be sharing it or using it. And very, very staggered use of common areas and facilities by different classes. We will have to train the children not to venture out much to the playgrounds or any common area, and follow the protocols completely, and there is going to be no leniency on that front. So monitor them after the pandemic. Once we have established a new normal and the immediate threat of the pandemic has subsided, the parents should continue to pay attention to their child's emotions. Like we said in the beginning, this time will pass. The economy will bounce back. The malls will open, the gyms will open, but the emotional development, the emotional well-being of the child is not coming back. So you must pay attention to the child's emotions. Experts say to look out for signs of lingering trauma like withdrawal, anxiety, and fear, sleep disturbances, and changes in the eating habits. This is the first thing that will make you aware that there is a problem. Therapy is always a valid choice, but after a global crisis, it may be more important than ever before for children to learn how to process their emotions and resume a normal life. The bottom line is, kids are resilient and they can come out of the COVID-19 pandemic feeling reassured as long as parents and caregivers help them through it. Make sure to validate their feelings, explain how they are making a difference by just staying home, and help them keep their social interactions strong. Don't hesitate to reach out for professional help either, or check out resources that can help. So this is the end of my presentation.